I wanted to provide an example of making a layered chart, and I've actually very deliberately not warmed up, not practiced, not tried this in advance. I'm doing this just stone cold. And so there may be a bobble here and there or a hiccup here and there, but that's okay. Charting is like that sometimes. And it'll be more realistic, I think, if this isn't like tightly edited. So anyway, here we go. My goal here is to create an analog between the market we saw in 1973 and 1974 versus the one we're seeing now. And I'm recording this in November 2022. So let's get started. So here I have the S&P 500 chart. This goes back all the way to the year 1900, and it's got all the drawn objects and so forth. And what I'll do to get started is I'll change the mode to layered charts, bang, and that automatically gets rid of the drawn objects because those just get in the way when creating these things. And the first thing I'll do is I will swipe over my target area, which is, as I said, kind of the 73, 74 time frame. And I'll try to swipe out an area which captures this rise and the subsequent fall. And so that's layer one. And then I'm going to switch to layer two, like so. And as you can see, so layer one zoomed in is already behind me. And this is meaningless right now because I haven't zoomed in yet on layer two. But now I'll zoom in on more recent activity. And I'll very purposefully zoom in on the portion that where it kind of bottoms out there. Now, as you can see, we sort of have an analog going here with the rise, but it's not very good. And the reason for that is because we need to push the most recent data to the left. In other words, we need to make more white space for its future. So, you'll have to forgive me because it occurs to me now, this is the first mistake, that the buttons here are off your screen, but I'll just tell you what I'm clicking. So there's nothing up my sleeve, promise. I'm simply clicking on the stretch button, which brings up this dialog box and allows me to push this around to add more time. Now this is where you got to really get it right, because you want to move this thing so that it lines up as best as possible with the chart beneath. And if you find it doesn't really line up very well, maybe you don't have an analog at all. But in this case, I'll just sort of move this around. And it seems to me that this is pretty darn close. It's not absolutely perfect. You know, the peaks are a teeny bit off. You know, and the peak here is a little bit off. But you got to make compromises because on the whole, and it'll be easier to see if you change this chart type. So I can right click this and change the chart type to a line. And I'll go to layer one and also change its chart type to a line. So now it's a little easier to see. And let's go back to that stretch thing to see if I can improve on this at all. And it helpfully, the stretch thing vanishes in the background. All right, that's a little better. I'm inclined to make more recent activity line up better, like here, which it's done. So as you can see, we've got this ascent on both sides, a peak roughly at the same area, a dip, an ascent, a harder dip, an ascent, a hard dip here. Then most recently, this strong counter-turn rally. For those of you listening to this as a relatively new video, this would constitute the period from June 16 to August 16 of 2022. And then the hard tumble down to the new low for the year. And then most recently of all, we've got this big lift, which has taken place over the past month that I've been, from when I recorded this, and up it goes. And now, so we have a peak here and a peak here. So if you look at this just in a macro, in a kind of a holistic way, you can see that although it's not pixel for pixel exact, it'll never be, it's a pretty good approximation of fitting these jigsaw pieces together. And another way you can sort of visualize that is there's a button called spread, which colors the areas between the two lines. Now, during this ascent, there's a lot of color here, which basically indicates where things don't quite line up. And that's really okay, because all I'm trying to capture here is this long, big ascent, and that's fine. It really doesn't bother me that these don't line up. What's more important to me is the more recent we get, the tighter things are. So as you can see here, there's not a heck of a lot of sunshine between these two lines. It's pretty good. I don't tend to leave that on. It's just kind of a reality check for the analog. And for the purposes of this example, that's really about it. So time will tell if this actually works out or not, but I recorded this. We'll just timestamp it here. I recorded it on November 12th, which is a Saturday. And what this seems to suggest is that the market's got some weakness ahead. So we'll see if that becomes a complete fake out or if the analog does its magic. So that's it.